So just a quick video on setting up the Havoc C2 framework from start to finish. Then we're going to generate the payload and use a custom loader to actually load the payload onto a Windows 11 system, bypass the antivirus, and then get the connection back to the C2 framework. Just effectively simulating how a red team scenario would work, or how a real attacker would go about doing this type of attacking scenario. They would have a lot more implementations added to it, a lot more servers and encrypted communications than what I've currently got set up here. We're just sort of going bare bone and just using loader. But yeah, let's go. So to start off, what we're going to do is I've already ran these commands before. So we're going to git clone. It's the Havoc C2 framework. And then come down. I've already run the commands before. Oh. Get to dependencies. Come back out. And then we can make the team server then. So we start the build for the server after we download the dependencies. There's a few commands that I've missed out there that I've already ran before for favourite packages, but I've already got them, so no point running them again. There we go. And now we can make the client as well. We're actually going to run the team server first, and then we're going to make the client separately, because this is effectively what you would be doing. You wouldn't be connecting to the server on the same machine, it would be from a separate machine. So we start the server, and the server would effectively be always running, maybe on like a server somewhere that's constantly up, and then you can connect from your different clients. So the server's running, got to open another terminal, and then this is where we're going to make the client. So build the client. Let's let that run. It takes a little sec. Hopefully it doesn't take too long. I hope so anyway. But what we're going to do from here, once we've got the client connected, we'll actually get the user interface with the C2 framework, and then we'll go from here. And what we'll do is generate the payload, download the payload onto our main machine, and then we're going to run it through our payload encryptor, encrypt the payload, get the separate file, and then we'll run it through the loader, and then we'll actually get our connection back to the C2 server then, which we'll see soon. But just simulating from step one to the final step effectively. Well, we're halfway there, 50%. If it takes too long, I will just cut the video, but it shouldn't be too bad. We've also got the Windows 11 virtual machine ready at the go as well. With the shared folder access to my main machine, because effectively instead of downloading it through like an info web request command, and then downloading a payload or a loader over the internet, in a real scenario, maybe like a SIM would pick that up, or maybe like an EDR or like an NDR would pick up that request over the network, and then it might be flagged. So this could be maybe simulating like a USB being plugged in, and we can just drag the loader from USB, or it's just a shared folder. Yeah, same type of thing. So we come in, and so it's built the client. So I'll show you now, and then we can just run the client. Create new profile, and then the password is just default, which is set up in the server profile. And then look, we're on the Havoc C2 framework. So what we can do from here is straight away just get up a listener set up, add our listener. just going to name it server. Save, we don't need to do anything else. Save the listener, and then we can come to payload. Don't need script manager. And then we're going to generate an x64 for the system. And then we're going to use shellcode instead of an exe because we're already using an exe as our loader to actually inject the shellcode into the process. We're already using indirect syscalls for our process injection, but we're going to further use that on the payload too, just for more benefit, if anything. We can generate the payload. And then what we'll do is we'll host a server, just a Python server from the Kali machine. We'll download the payload to my main Windows machine, not the virtual machine. We'll encrypt it, and then we'll add the encrypted payload into the file, into the loader, rebuild the solution, like recompile it, and then we'll run the loader from that point on. So we're just going to save it to desktop. We'll just save it in server for now, and we're going to change it to test.bin, just for argument's sake, ease of use. Come back to test. We can come to our server. And then we're going to run a Python server from this point on, just locally. Oh, it's already in use. Let me just do that. Let me just kill it. And then we'll just start that again. This is where you will be up to at this point. See, and then we're just hosting the server locally on my Kali machine on port 8000. So now what we do is we can come to my main Windows machine. So we just minimize this. Come to my main Windows machine and PowerShell. And I've already ran the command before, but it was called tester. So I'm just going to say test.bin, test.bin. Is the capital letters. There we go. There we go. And then we see it pops up on my main desktop machine. So we can close that, come to the loader, the folder, and what we're going to do, we haven't actually got any other bin files in here, have we? No. And now we can actually open up a terminal inside this folder, and then we're going to run the payload encryptor. So this is actually the Havoc C2 payload now on my main Windows machine, and then we're going to encrypt it using the payload encryptor. It generates the payload, payload's ready to go. And then you can see here we actually get the payload. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that payload, and then we want to rebuild it inside of loader. So we're just going to pop it inside the loaders file. It's already got one in here. So I am just going to replace it, which was my last one. Close that, and then I'm going to rebuild the solution. So rebuild. Oh wait, that's actually the wrong one, I believe. Yeah, this is it. So I've got the payload. I've already copied it in. Just gonna double check, just so my mind's gone blank a second. Come back to the loader. Replace the file. There we go. And then we can come back, and then we're going to rebuild the solution. So it actually gets that payload inside the resource section. And we're not going to run the loader on my main machine. I know this probably seems like a lot right now, but what I've just done is I've just made sure that the payload is being compiled with the actual loader on my main Windows machine, and now I'm going to simulate like the actual attack now. So we can come back to my Havoc C2 framework. I don't know why my client is closed for whatever reason. There we go. And we've got the listener set up already. Yeah. So come to our, yeah, there we go. And here's the loader now, Jens Network Sim. Copy that to the desktop. As you can see, no antivirus just flagged it up straight away, so there's no signature detection. Just based on the exe alone, it's not finding the payload inside of it, which is nice as well. Just to show you, I have got AV turned on. See real-time protection. What I haven't got turned on is sample submission. I am not sampling my loader. The obfuscate version just while I'm testing it, of course, as well, because we want it to work. We don't want it to get signatured. So yeah, just to simulate an actual attack now. So we're going to run the loader, and it's just basically simulating, but it's not. It's actually using indirect syscalls to inject it into the process. We got a little sleep, little jitter, just at this point before it actually executes the payload further, just to help evade the antivirus. And then once it's run, we'll get the connection back, hopefully, on the C2 server, otherwise I'll have to do this again. Hey, there we go. So now you can see if we just come to view, session view graph, and here's our victim machine. So we can choose to interact with it now. So we can run a who am I, and this is Havoc's own custom who am I tool. So it gives us a lot more information on the actual victim than what a normal one would. So just to show you, if I just open command prompt and just run who am I, we only get like yen and the desktop machine back. Why is it not running? There we go, Windows yen. But we actually get a lot more with the Havoc C2. A lot more information based on the group, the authority, the privileges. And we can also just run the same command if we wanted to. So shell who am I, and it'll do the exact same thing. It'll run it in the command shell of the victim's machine. But yeah, so that was just a quick implementation of actually getting the Havoc C2 framework. It doesn't just have to be Havoc, it could be any C2, any sort of framework with payloads or just any type of payload you want to inject. Maybe you've got your own custom C2 set up, and it's just a similar way of doing it. I'm sure you would know at that point anyway. If you're building your own C2, I'm sure you're building your own loaders as well, definitely. Yeah, but just I hope you enjoyed that little a little demonstration anyway. But yeah, thank you.